Alright, before this video starts, I just want to say that I will no longer be covering the Easter egg or the Easter egg story when it comes to the maps, so the tomb and every map following will no longer have a Easter egg section of the video. This is mostly so that I can avoid the shit show of my last video, my last review. I just don't want to have to deal with that again, so to avoid it entirely, I'm not going to be talking about the Easter egg itself. I will mention the story here and there, but I won't actually mention the Easter egg or the steps or how complicated or convoluted it might be. I'm just going to be talking about the map itself from my personal experience. So this is just my opinion. If you disagree, you don't have to leave a little hate DM on Twitter. So just please keep that in mind as you watch this review, that this is just my opinion of a guy on YouTube just trying to make people laugh. So with that disclaimer out of the way, please enjoy this long-awaited review for the Tomb Zombies map. Alright, after a lot of time working on this, pushing projects back and getting other ones out the door, just as the video I uploaded a couple of days ago, we finally have the review ready. I'm so happy to have this out. This has taken so long to actually get done, so I hope you guys really enjoy this video. Today, we're discussing the Tomb Zombies map. Now, the Tomb Zombies map is quite the interesting one here, and by the title of the video, I'm sure you're already going to know, this is a bit of a mixed bag. This is a bit of an oddity. Now, there is a term going around for this map being called a bonus map of some kind. I don't necessarily agree with that interpretation, but going by that, it is certainly a very polarizing experience. You've got one chunk of the community loving it, one chunk of the community hating it, and a good chunk in the middle that are kind of in between on the fence about it. Personally, I'm not really sure where I stand on this map. There are plenty of things to actually like about it this time around compared to Citadel. For starters, the Dark Ether area looks absolutely beautiful and it's so much fun to play around in. There are many sections of the map itself that I actually do think are really fun to play around in, aside from the numerous issues with the enemy types, which we'll be talking about later. Regardless of them, the actual area design is really solid this time around, and must be given kudos given that I hated the map design of both Citadel and Liberty Falls, so this is a major step up and I think on par with Terminus in terms of actual map design and where that goes. I think it looks really good, I think it plays really well, yet you've also got some negatives to go along with that. So let's just get right into it. I've already tweeted about this a couple times. The enemy types, they're not necessary here. They're really annoying and I don't understand Treyarch's insistence on putting them on every single map. It really kills the vibe for me to play a map playing the same enemies from the same last map, from the map before that, from the map before that. It gets really frustrating and it's annoying because this is giving me flashbacks from fucking Exo Zombies. And if you're reminding me about Exo Zombies, you kind of fucked up. Exo Zombies is not good, okay? No matter what anyone tells you. But back on track, this map uses pretty much every enemy type in Black Ops 6 and introduces a new one that nobody wanted to see return. The Mimic, with an electric variant that turns your HUD into the EMZ zombie from Exo Zombies. You see what I mean with the Exo Zombie stuff? This is really annoying and frustrating. It kills a lot of the vibe to play the map when you're dealing with all these enemies at once. Yes, I'm aware the ice staff can kill them. Yes, I'm aware there's many counters, but it doesn't make it any less annoying or even outright lazy that they're reusing enemies from the same game for every single map. It just doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, the Mangler's gone, thank God for that, but that's it. That's the only enemy that's not present here from previous maps. The Mangler is the only one who has not returned. Everyone else, in one way or another, is coming onto this map, and it's annoying and tedious to play the map when I have to deal with all that shit at once. It's just not fun, it's just annoying and tedious. It doesn't make the map hard, it just makes me want to throw my brains out because the map's just not fun to play when I have to deal with them all at the same time. It's just not a challenging experience. If we look at Origins as an example, you don't really have a lot of enemy types on that map aside from the regular zombie, the Panzer, and the Templars that come every 10 rounds. But aside from that, you're not dealing with a whole lot of enemies on the active field at once. Despite that, Origins is still pretty damn difficult. Yet if we look at the Tomb, we have a shit ton of enemy types, but the map is still it's really not all that difficult. With the amount of playroom you actually get, it does make a lot more easier to manage these enemy types, but it's still a valid point and one that I think needs to be pointed out, as a lot of people have been bringing this up, but it's usually shot down by, oh, well, you have the ice staff, you have all these counters to them. It doesn't matter, it just makes the map more annoying to play, and something that I really wish Treyarch would start doing better in these future zombie maps is making it so that there's less enemy types, but still a more challenging experience, and you can still have a simple experience in between certain maps as well. Remember the Eisendrache? That map didn't have any enemy type besides the Panzer and, you know, the regular zombies and the Hellhounds. That's it. Yet we got Zetsubo, which had the fucking thrashers, the parasites, the spiders, you know, all that shit. But it was meant to be a harder map, and so that could be forgiven. And then Gorod Krovi, we have an assortment of enemy types. We're just talking about the spam of these enemies and why they can ruin maps or make some better. If we look at Revelations, the final map for Black Ops 3, you have pretty much every enemy type there. Even though the map is still ridiculously easy, but I think it's more tasteful there than it is here or in Forsaken, because on Revelations it's pretty much the ultimate map before Black Ops 4, so I understood why they had all the enemies here at once, especially considering this always happens in the story, so I could understand it there and forgive it, especially since you have more than enough room to play with and weapons to deal with them accordingly, and they're not spammed at you all the time. They come in at their own rounds, their own special rounds. That's something that Treyarch needs to address with these future enemies, is that they should only come in on their own times. They shouldn't come in constantly every single round. This is a problem that plagues Liberty Falls with the Manglers, and it plagues this map with pretty much everything. The Al-Magmons, pretty much everything else on the map, the enemy types are constantly spammed at you, and it's just not fun whatsoever. Alright, now moving back into the positive for this one, we're actually going to talk about the wonder weapon, the Ice Staff. The Ice Staff was novel. I think it was a nice return, even if it didn't necessarily need to be here. It was literally just brought in for fan service, let's just be honest now. But even despite that, I think it was a nice addition to the map. And the quest itself is alright. I think it's a decent quest considering the competition. This is a modern zombies map, so we have to consider that these maps are going to be far easier than anything else in the past. So with the Ice Staff quest, it's not bad. It's actually pretty good until you get to the upgrade staff. The reason for this though is not because of it's too difficult or anything like that. It's not a fucking skill issue. It's because of the fact that they actively nerfed the ability to actually upgrade the staff. That's right. So I understand that there was a handgun glitch that you could do that would allow you to spam score streaks, something along those lines that will allow you to essentially glitch the game and make upgrading the staff far easier. I understand why they nerfed that. That patch I can understand. However, the ability not to be able to use any score streaks while you're trying to not get hit, because remember, one of the staff pieces, one of the upgrade parts, you have to not get hit essentially, and they made it so you can't use score streaks anymore. I don't understand why, but yeah, you can't use anything to really help you out other than praying you don't get slammed from one of the 50 plus enemy types that are going to be coming at you. I don't get why this is a thing. And maybe it's been undone, or maybe someone's figured out how to get around this, but through my playthroughs I have not been able to use anything to actually help me out with score streaks in regards to upgrading the Ice Staff. So why, I don't know, but this is just a warning for anyone who's actually going to be playing the map that it is a pain in the ass to get that thing upgraded. However, I think it is worth it. I think it is worth getting for the full powered staff, as it is a lot stronger and it actually feels like it's not nerfed. Now that's the upgraded staff. The base staff itself is fine. I think it's average, maybe below average at the end of the day. I think Treyarch really needs to figure out this balancing act of wonder weapons, because for some reason they can't make up their minds if they want a good one or a bad one. With Terminus, we got a shitty wonder weapon. With Liberty Falls, we got an upgraded jet gun, which is far superior to the one on Transit. And Citadel, we got actually some of the worst wonder weapons ever created, as they only hit 2 zombies at a time now. What a revolution. Citadel is the best map ever. What a revolution. The swords can hit 2 enemies at a time. What a revolution. But jokes aside, I think Treyarch really needs to figure out making the wonder weapons actually fun and overpowered, because that's why they're wonder weapons. That's what makes them fun. You do have the ray gun still in the game, but honestly I've never gotten it out of the box past the launch week or even the launch month at this point. It's just almost impossible to get it, even with the fucking wonder weapon gobblegum. It's just not something I'm going to be getting all that often. So with that in mind, I just think the wonder weapons need a buff here in general, not just the staff, but the swords, and of course the beam smasher needs a huge buff. So this is just a telltale sign that they need to work on the wonder weapons. But in general, I think the staff is fine. I just think it could have been something else, be a little more unique, but more original, and far stronger with the base version than the upgraded one, because the upgraded one is just fine. The base one does need a bit of a buff though, so that is a bit of critique I do have with the wonder weapon. But the ice staff is fun to use and it has a good animation, all that stuff. I don't want to go into it too much because again, it is just the ice staff, it's nothing new. So I think it's pretty fun, but nothing crazy. Speaking of nothing new and nothing crazy and nothing good, is Death Perception, the new perk for the tomb that's being introduced with the map. Death Perception generally baffles my mind on why it even exists in this game when Vulture has effectively been turned into Death Perception in regards to salvage. So with that all being said, is there any reason to get Death Perception in this game, even with augments? No. As a matter of fact, there's an augment that doesn't even work if you're using a certain HUD. So effectively you have 5 augments really that you can choose from, and none of them are all really that effective. None of them are really all that helpful. Honestly, I can't think of a reason for Death Perception to be in this game. Truthfully, I think it actually might be worse than its original inception in Black Ops 4, because at least that had a modifier that could damage special enemies and put extra damage towards their special weak spots, effectively making it a really good perk to run if you're trying to take out bosses as quickly as possible. In this game, you don't get that bonus, and yeah, I know you don't get it with Cold War either, but that had more salvage, that had more practicality. In here, it doesn't. In this game, it really doesn't. So the tomb introduces Death Perception, and there's no reason for it to be here. It generally doesn't have to exist. Or rather, it could exist as the side perk it was always meant to be, but instead they want to headline it as their main new perk, Death Perception. This is really going to help out on the tomb by doing what exactly? Seriously, can someone comment this below why this is a perk? Please, somebody please explain this to me. How in any way this could be useful when there are plenty of other perks to choose from that will serve you much more. Why isn't Vulture on this map? Vulture would have been so perfect for this map, but no, you want to put on Death Perception. You want to keep putting on this perk that nobody wants. Nobody's going to use it on this map. Treyarch, what are you thinking? You put Death Perception effectively worse than it was in the original game. Yeah, I don't want to rant too much on Death Perception, but yeah, putting it in the tomb is actually completely ridiculous. I don't understand why it's in this game, I don't understand why it's in this map, and why it's here instead of Vulture, but there you go. If for any Death Perception fans, whoever likes it, there you go, you have Death Perception now. It's just whatever. I don't know, man. This is just ridiculous to me, and that falls in line with a lot of what I feel about this map. It's fine, but it doesn't really blow my mind at how Treyarch has handled the tomb. Really, it doesn't feel like anything that's gonna blow your mind out of the park. It doesn't feel like Mob of the Dead or Ancient Evil. If you compare it to any other DLC too, this is arguably one of the worst, just because it feels really lackluster in general and doesn't really push the envelope. And yeah, I know every map doesn't have to do that, but this map just felt like it wasn't really going anywhere. It really just felt like we went to the tomb just because we could. And that's probably how they felt, given that this map apparently was a bonus map. But again, I'm not going to feed into that theory that it is a bonus map or not. I'm just saying my thoughts, and honestly, I just don't think this map has the longevity to support me going into future maps. I'm still going to cover future maps, but the tomb really didn't do anything all that different from the previous map, which didn't do all that different from the previous map. Do you get what I'm saying? This map just doesn't feel like it's going all that hard to try and win me back, or try to win anyone back for that matter. If you like the last map, if you like Citadel, you're gonna like this map, but if you were turned off by any of the previous maps, you're probably not gonna come back for this one. I've already spoken to many people who actually aren't coming back just because the map is interesting, but nothing all that remarkable. So it just really doesn't feel like an experience that I think was worth waiting for, really. It's not necessarily bad though. That's the weird part, because it's not necessarily bad, but it doesn't have anything that's necessarily all that great either. You get what I'm saying? It feels like it's right in the middle for me. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I didn't get the map that I was expecting to get. I was expecting to get something more, something better than what we got, instead of something that's effectively an average map. And slightly above average, I'll give it that. You know, there are some highlights here and there. The Easter egg, even though the ending is atrocious and the boss fight is atrocious, I'll give it that it's somewhat different. It's okay, but that's pretty much all I have to say on the matter. It really doesn't do anything that pushes the envelope for zombies. And I think that's what's going to kill the longevity of this map more than anything, is that when you come back here, there's nothing left but just the tomb for the Chaos and Dark Ether storyline. Now, don't get me wrong, I love Chaos more than anybody. You ask anyone, I love the Chaos storyline. But the reason it worked in Black Ops 4 and it doesn't work here is because in Black Ops 4, they were willing to push the zombies maps to their limits. Here, it feels like they're half-assing it at best. And this isn't just against the tomb, okay? Because like I said, I like certain aspects of the tomb. I like the map design, all that. I like the wonder weapon. But at the same time, when you go so little far with actual innovation, when you bring a perk that nobody really cares for or all that helpful, and when the Easter egg boss fight is so lazy, it is beyond lazy in 2025, this is not acceptable. You do not just push these standards and expect to get away with it. Especially when you're coming from the Chaos story, especially when you bring in the Chaos storyline. If you talk about Ancient Evil as an example map, which was also a DLC too, you had a boss fight with Perseus and Pegasus, okay? And you compare that to fighting the fucking Sentinel artifact? Are you fucking kidding me? That's no. Just no, okay? That's not gonna be enough. And that's why the tomb is a mixed bag for me. And I'm probably gonna give it around the range of a 6 out of 10. 6.5 out of 10. It's slightly above average for me. It's just not up to that level I was expecting. Terminus had so much potential. Terminus was a great map. Liberty Falls, even though I had shit on its map design and other boss types, I do appreciate it for what it is and can give it a decent score. Citadel, you already know my feelings on. You can watch my lovely review if you'd love to leave me a actual positive comment. I would appreciate you. But, you know, just those maps I can be more positive towards because there are actually things I can talk about besides Citadel. But here, it's just so little to talk about in general. There's not a whole lot that I hate, but not a whole things that I love either. It's really difficult to talk about this map. It's just a mixed bag for me, and that's why I'm going to go with a 6 out of 10. It's slightly above average, but it's just nothing crazy. Unfortunately, I'm sorry, but it's the truth. Alright, so if you enjoyed this video, please select that like button and subscribe. I could always use a new addition to the Dark Ops army. And if you want to support this channel more, please check out the join button below. You get perks, you get early videos like this, you get member icons, exclusive videos, all that good stuff. This is just if you want to support the channel more than you already do. So if you'd like to check out more, please click the join button or learn more in the description. But thank you guys so much for watching. This is Dark Ops, signing off.